And shalom, boys here. Well, what am I out doing? Got a project to complete today because I got other projects that need to be done. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I must be 2 months out when it comes to projects. I mean, it's just been extremely busy since spring started, and it's going to be busy. I mean, it's just going to be extremely busy. Holding up well with the heat. I mean, it's difficult out here. I mean, this heat, whew, I tell you. But what I wanted to get on here today and talk about how a shepherd handles sick sheep. Now, as everybody knows, and you've been watching videos from me for in any extended period of time, uh, I'm a shepherd as well. In addition to a carpenter, doing contracting work, I also shepherd. And when I first started with my flock, and I just did a video a couple of days ago, uh, I started with the flock, and I started about with three uh, ewes and one ram, and I've grown that flock. And one of the things that I noticed is when I begin to first uh, do shepherd work or become a shepherd, I was interested in saving every single uh, lamb that was birthed. Now, in any birthing cycle, and as your flock grows, for those who understand these concepts, I'm a city boy. I didn't at first, but now I do now. But you're gonna lose flock. You're gonna lose sheep. You're gonna lose flock. You're gonna lose ewes. You're gonna lose flock. A certain amount of your flock due to the simple fact that sheep get sick. And at the beginning, I used to try and take them to the vet. I tried to, give them all types of medicine, and it never did work. At least for me, it never did work. And one of the things that I realized is that the only way to deal with this is by increasing my flock. So I diligently continue to increase my flock, and sheep dies every single birthing cycle. And with rudiments or lambs and uh, sheep and goats, they have a 5 month gestation period, right? So what happens typically is that as your flock grows, uh, you are in a situation as to where your perspective changes because you have more sheep. So I don't have time to go dealing with 30, 40, 50 ewes. I don't have a time to go and take one to the vet. I don't have time to deal with a sick sheep because once you realize when you have a sick sheep is when they separate themselves from the flock. It's interesting, from a biblical perspective, how the Bible used sheep and the term sheep and the lost sheep and there's something spiritual about it. Why did he choose out of all of the um, uh, animals, he chose sheep as an analogy for people. So you're gonna have sheep that die naturally. You're gonna have sheep that get lost, meaning they jump the fence and they run away. I've had many occasions where I've had to go and get a lost sheep. I've had many occasions when the sheep got out and was all in the field and all down the block and stuff, and I had to go and get them and bring them back because they were searching for greener pastures. Especially it happens during the spring, changeover season. They see all the grass growing on the other side of the fence and they want to eat it. So what they do is they start jumping the fence. They try and get out and everything, but when they have a plentiful supply, they will stay within the field. But when a shepherd notices that, certain sheep are sick, as me personally now, I don't attempt to save them due to the simple fact that, I've tried in the past and it's failed. Uh, but in addition to that, the flock is large enough where, if I lose a couple of sheep, now every shepherd, every cattleman, uh we all lose sheep. That's just the nature of the business. That's just the nature of shepherding. You're going to lose chickens, you're going to lose sheep, you're going to lose cows, goats, whatever it is that and if you're growing that flock, you're going to lose some. But again, what I've noticed is that it doesn't it's not worth my while to invest in dealing with a sick sheep. I'd rather deal with the sheep that are healthy and keeping them healthy, making sure that they have a green pasture, making sure that they have plenty of hay, that they have water, they have their salt blocks, and that they're being tended to, and that nothing is in the field that's going to harm them. Uh, that's my job as a shepherd. But again, you notice that a sheep is sick is when they separate themselves from the flock. Now, there's a difference between a lost sheep that jumped the fence or just got lost and a sheep that's just sick. They separate themselves naturally. It's a natural thing that they do. And what do? I check them out. If I can't give them some type of herbal or organic tincture or something, or whatever like that, I take them off to the side, pull out my gun, shoot them, bury them, put them in the compost bin or whatever, and just leave it at that. Because at a certain flock size, it doesn't make sense to save that particular sheep. It just doesn't make sense. Now, difference. You have to know the difference between a sick sheep and a lost sheep. Now, put this in an analogy of people today. There are many people that are sick, right? They're sick and they're defiled in their mind. They're sick, and they separate themselves. Okay, so when you see a person separating themselves, you're looking at a person that is sick, and because the reason why they're sick is because they're defiled in their mind in some ways to where they're following some vein, some lust, some passion, or whatever that they can't do in the midst of the flock. So they got to separate themselves. This is why you see people all the time. When you see people separate themselves, or they go on and they leave a relationship, or anywhere where somebody's separating themselves, and then watch what they're doing now, it always tells you what's going on. It always tells you the condition of that individual when you see the fruit of their lives after they've separated. And it's a sad thing to see. It really is sad. So me personally, in your life, you have to understand the difference between somebody that's sick and as someone that is lost. Now, a person that's lost, you help them out. You go ahead and you get them and you lead them and you got them because they got potential and they just truly just lost and they just need some direction. They just need to be brought back into the fold. However, there's a lot of people that will not be brought back into the fold. There's people that are just sick and defiled in their mind and don't waste your time. And so I don't waste my time. Just like I don't waste my time with a sick sheep, I don't waste my time with sick people that are defiled in their mind and they're not going anywhere anyway. See, the beautiful thing about these kind of situations is that if you were the issue, right? Let's say you were the issue and then they departed from you. And then they went on to be a successful husband or a successful wife or a successful businessman, a successful landowner, whatever it is that they wanted to be successful at. Then maybe you were the issue. But when you don't see them go on and do well and prosper, you know that they were the issue. See, the fruit, the increase, the results will always show. You see, like I say all the time, if I was a shepherd, but you didn't see me with a flock, would you believe me? If I said I was a carpenter and I knew how to do bathroom remodels and kitchen remodels, and you didn't see any pictures, you didn't see me doing anything or whatever, would you believe me? Of course you wouldn't. But we got in a world today where people, it's a fronting generation. Everybody's just fronting like they're doing something, but they're not producing and seeing anything. This is why it's so sad to see. We live in a generation now where everybody can get up, front, act like they're doing something, and they ain't doing a damn thing at all. It's sad to see. But this is the reality. This is the world where we're in. So, this is personally I handle sheep, and this I handle people. Person sick, leave them alone. They're sick. They've separated themselves. Leave them alone. A person is lost, you go ahead and get them. You try and help them and encourage them and uplift them and do all that you can to bring them back in the fold. That is how a real shepherd handles a flock.